Hi everyone, Lilith here. Welcome to my Butterfree solo run. Now there's something that differentiates Butterfree from the previous 3 Pokemon I've used. Butterfree sucks. Its stats are bad, its move pool is bad, and it starts as a Caterpie, which is possibly the worst Pokemon in the game. It does have one saving grace, however, Sleep Powder. As we learned in the Venusaur run, Sleep Powder in Gen 1 is broken. Sleep in general is broken, and Sleep Powder is tied for the second most accurate sleep move. But as you just saw, it starts out as a Caterpie with only Tackle and String Shot. Anyway, I named my character Idiot because I'm doing a Butterfree solo run. Named my rival after the main counter to Butterfree. Literally anyone. Now I use something called the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Bulbasaur with Caterpie, allowing me to start with a Caterpie. Replacing Bulbasaur means my rival will have a Charmander, since I clearly don't want any part of this run to be bearable. As a general rule, I'm always going to make the rival pick the starter I think will be most difficult, just to be fair to the starter trio. As you may have noticed, I just lost the tutorial rival battle. The tutorial rival battle. This is gonna suck. Now I'm just gonna speed through the entire first part of the run. As you see, I lose so many times. It's one thing to have to grind on Route 1 Pokemon, it's another thing to lose to them. After a long grind, I finally reached level 7 and evolved into Metapod. It took that long to get 2 level ups. Anyway, now that I'm evolved, I have much better defense, so I should be able to fight the bug catchers in Viridian Forest. Keyword should. I've just had more losses than Blastoise or Venusaur, and I barely started Viridian Forest. You can only imagine how frustrating this is. Anyway, on my 3rd try with the first bug catcher of Viridian Forest, I finally managed to beat the first bug catcher of Viridian Forest. He uses a Weedle and a Caterpie, and I lost twice. Although he's right about one thing, Caterpie can't cut it. Anyway, with that nightmare out of the way, it's time to move on to the second bug catcher in Viridian Forest, and... oh, you've gotta be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. With how low my stats are, getting poisoned is a death sentence. After scraping by with 2 HP against Bugcatcher 2, I finally win. Oh my god, this run is awful. But not for long! Metapod hits level 10 and evolves into Butterfree, which, while a terrible Pokemon, has sent enough stats given that it's fully evolved and my opponents aren't. Oh, and even though I'm fully evolved, I'm still stuck with Tackle and String Shot until level 12 when I get Confusion. Were I doing this in Yellow, I would have Confusion as soon as I evolve into Butterfree, and Harden as soon as I evolve into Metapod, but this is Red and Blue, so no dice. As soon as I'm free from Viridian Forest, I head straight to Kyoto City and fight the junior trainer in Brock's gym. It goes horribly, because of course it does. I barely even make it past the Diglett, and I'm on such low HP I have no chance against Sandshrew. I try again at level 11, and it still doesn't work. Anyway, I just keep throwing myself at this junior trainer over and over and over until I eventually win, because I know I can do this, it's just a matter of being a high enough level and getting lucky. Which, to be fair, is probably the whole run of this, because I'm using a Butterfree and nothing else. In my 3rd attempt, I get Confusion after beating Diglett, which makes Sandshrew a complete joke. Just kidding, I lose this fight too! Attempt number 4, I win the fight against the junior trainer. Anyway, I don't feel fully prepared, but it's time to try the Brock fight. Now, Geodude has terrible specials, so Confusion does about a quarter of its HP. Oh, that's right, my stats are terrible too, I forgot! Luckily for me, Geodude wastes most of its time with Defense Curl despite me being a special attacker. Now, it would take a miracle to get past Onix at this point. But I get a miracle, it never attacks. It does use Bite, but I can just use String Shot while it bites this time since I'm faster. I won against Brock on my first try after all those fails against Bug Catchers, the tutorial rival battle, and the junior trainer. I just had such an easy time with Brock. And I know he doesn't have any rock moves, but what just happened? As you may notice, I now know Poison Powder and Bite, but not String Shot. I did some moveset tweaks, but I didn't want to show all of them since Butterfree learns a ton of moves in close proximity. I do immediately replace Bite with Stun Spore and Poison Powder with Sleep Powder. This improved double powder set is probably the best I'll have for quite some time. I have to fight a rival again, and Pidgeotto is up first, and it goes for Quick Attack. I go for Sleep Powder. I hit it with Confusion until it goes down. This is my main strategy. Sleep Powder plus attacking move equals win. It's really all I can do. Hopefully it works. I don't bother with Sleep Powder against Abra since it only knows Teleport. I also use Tackle since its defense is much lower than its special, plus it resists Psychic. Rattata is up next, and this one's dangerous. It's fast, it hits hard, and it knows Hyper Fang. Although, it goes down to 2 confusions and just uses Tail Whip and fails. That was much easier than I expected. Sleep Powder misses against Charmander, it goes for Growlithe. Against Sleep Powder, puts it to sleep as intended. Anyway, Confusion is a 3-hit KO, and Charmander stays asleep for more than 3 turns, so I win the fight on my first try. I was expecting that to be really tough. Anyway, now that we beat anyone, that's a funny name for him, I go and prevent Bill from becoming the protagonist of a mystery dungeon game. In exchange, he gives me the SS ticket. Personally, I'd love to be the protagonist of a mystery dungeon game, so I don't know why he was so happy, but whatever. Oh, and Missy exists too, but that's really all she does. Sleep Powder was helpful as always, plus the most dangerous thing about her is that her Starmie is resistant to confusion, but still not a hard fight at all. Still a tedious one, but at least I wasn't scared of losing. As usual, I catch a Spearow east of Vermilion City and trade it for a Farfetch to use as an HM slave for Cut and Fly. Anyway, I know every Pokemon fan has wondered this at some point, but how does it break out of a Pokeball while asleep? The magic of game balance, of course. Yeah, I know, says the person solo running with Butterfree. Now, I go to the SSN and get the TM for Body Slam. Just kidding, I don't do that. You know why? Butterfree doesn't learn Body Slam. Next boss fight isn't just anyone, it's anyone. Anyone leads with Pidgeotto. I put it to sleep and then start attacking with Confusion. It wakes up pretty quickly, but I don't put it to sleep again, instead opting to continue attacking with Confusion, given that its attacks aren't that great. Oh, critical hit quick attack. That's nice. Rattate's up next. I use Sleep Powder. It wakes up immediately. I use Sleep Powder. I miss. It crits Hyper Fang, putting me at 5 HP. Then it uses quick attack to finish me off and gets a 1 in 256 miss. Then I hit with Sleep Powder to put it to sleep, and I 2-hit KO with Confusion. That was crazy. Kadabra goes down without attacking me, despite it proving to be the inspiration for the early bird ability in Gen 3, but, you know, what can you do? Oh, I know what you can do. Be less annoying, you stupid Kadabra. Or you could know I could use anything other than a Butterfree and maybe have an easier time with this fight. I'm using a Butterfree and I'm about to face a Fire type with just 5 HP left. Thank you, Sleep Powder, for allowing me to somehow win that. Oh wait, just kidding, I lose because I miss a Sleep Powder. This is the problem. Sleep Powder is 75% accuracy, which means 1 in 4 times my strategy will fail through no fault of my own. Well, other than the fault of me choosing to solo run with Butterfree. My second attempt, Pidgeotto, is pretty much the exact same. It doesn't wake up as early, but it hits me with a few more quick attacks, so it balances out. Also, no, I do not want to learn Whirlwind. Whirlwind does nothing in trainer battles for Gen 1, and even still it's a solo run, so that's basically worthless. There's something different about this attempt. Raticate never gets a chance to attack me due to better luck with sleep. That's a relief, to say the least. Dabra's up next, and just like the first attempt, it never gets a chance to attack me. Now you're beginning to see how luck-based every fight is due to my reliance on Sleep Powder. Venusaur also had Sleep Powder, but I didn't have to rely on it because, you know, Venusaur doesn't suck. Charmeleon is next, and I have 12 times the health that I had for the last attempt, so this should go better. However, the HP doesn't really matter since it never wakes up this attempt. See, sleep duration is also pure luck. Sleep powder is pure luck, sleep is pure luck. Everything about this fight is just luck. I don't like relying on luck in Pokemon games or really in any games, but in this run, I have no choice. After rubbing the captain's back, what did you think I was gonna say? I get cut. Now, I hate saying this, but Butterfree would be better if it could learn cut. Lieutenant Surge is next, and this one has me worried given that I'm weak to electric, and he loves spamming Thundershock and Thunder. Plus, he has really high speed, and if I don't outspeed, Sleep Powder becomes much less useful. Speaking of luck-based fights, I missed Sleep Powder 3 turns in a row against Voltorb. It's like a 2% chance for it to miss 3 times in a row. Pikachu is pathetic. It's level 18. Raichu's up next, and it takes me out in one hit. I'm just gonna hope that I could have won if I was at full health and try again. Voltorb is no problem on this attempt, but Pikachu uses Thunder Wave and paralyzes me. That's bad. Raichu takes no damage from confusion. It isn't able to one-shot me with Thunderbolt, so I assume if I wasn't paralyzed I could have won. So, take V. Voltorb goes to sleep easily, but I misclick and use Sleep Powder again. Oh no, don't tell me I'm gonna lose because of a stupid mindless error. Well, luckily for me, I'm still able to beat Voltorb without getting hit, so if I do lose, that mindless error isn't the reason. Gotta appreciate those small victories. This time I don't bother with Sleep Powder against Pikachu, I just use Confusion twice, and it only hits me for 13 damage, so it should be fine as long as Raichu doesn't get a critical hit. Forget about no crit, how about no attack? Surge decides to use an X speed against a Pokemon slower than him because Gen 1. I put him to sleep successfully, and by the time he wakes up, it's too late, I've won. Oh, and while we're at it, here's a clip of me losing a battle in Rock Tunnel. Enjoy! On a brighter note, literally and figuratively, I learned Psybeam, which I use to replace Confusion. Psybeam is just Confusion plus 15 power. As soon as I get to Celadon City, I get a drink, give it to a guard, and enter Saffron City to visit Mr. Psychic, who gives me the TM for, you guessed it, Psychic. You know, after I get lost in Saffron City, of course. Now, you probably think I'm gonna replace Psybeam, but I'm not. Psybeam and Psychic are my only good attacks in my entire moveset, and Psychic only has 10 PP. I can't afford to replace Psybeam, even if it is weak with. Thus, I replace Tackle. Erica's up next. She leads with Victory Bell. Victory Bell goes down easy due to my Psychic moves and Sleep Powder. After that is Tangela, who dodges my Sleep Powder and uses Bind, which is annoying. However, it's doing next to no damage because Tangela's attack stat is awful. Once I get Tangela to sleep, I have no trouble taking it out, and finally, Vileplume. Turn 1 against Vileplume. We both miss our attacks. That's pretty funny. Second turn against Vileplume, I land Sleep Powder, and third and fourth turns against Vileplume, I easily take it out with Psychic. Now, beating Erica gets us the TM for Mega Drain, which I immediately replace Stun Spore. Mega Drain is going to be so helpful for the upcoming fight against Giovanni. Plus, in general, it's nice to be able to heal myself, because I'm not sure I've mentioned this before, but Butterfree's defenses are awful. Time for Giovanni. Onix is a one-hit KO with Mega Drain. Rhyhorn is a one-hit KO with Mega Drain. Now, I doubt any of my moves will one-shot Kangaskhan, so I put it to sleep, and then crit with Psychic and one-shot it. Oh. Well, I couldn't have known that it would be a crit, so oh well. Continuing our boss rush, we have rival battle number 4. Pidgeotto is up first, and I go for Sleep Powder, which proves to be completely irrelevant as Psychic one-shots it. No complaints there. Up next is Execute, who I use Sleep Powder against and then just hit it with Psychic until it goes down. Thanks to a critical hit, this only needs to be 2 Psychics. Up next is Gyarados, but as you might expect, Sleep Powder, Psychic until it goes down. I'm just going with what works. Kadabra's Psychic typing means I should use Mega Drain instead of Psychic. I mean, sure, Psychic would do more damage, but it's so minuscule that I might as well just save P for Psychic. Finally, Charmeleon, and as you might guess, Sleep Powder, Psychic until it goes down. Now, you might see the problem with Butterfree. Sleep Powder has 75 accuracy. If it misses, Charmeleon would have hit me with a fire move and done a ton of damage. So, I have to rely on a 75% chance for every single Pokemon, then I'm going to inevitably miss and take damage. Koga's next. Psychic one-shots Coughing. It doesn't one-shot Mach, who goes for Sludge and does tons of damage. And by tons of damage, I mean I'm at 29 HP for Coughing. I mean, for the second Coughing, but more importantly for Wheezing. I mean, I do level up, but 32 HP isn't that much better. Coughing 2 is a one-hit KO just like its clone. Actually, Koga's Coughings are identical even down to the IVs. I go for Sleep Powder against Wheezing. I miss. It uses an X attack. That was lucky. Then I land my second Sleep Powder and take it down with Psychic. Now, I have beaten Koga, but up next I've got a choice of 2 fights. Blaine, who uses exclusively Pokemon when I'm a Butterfree, and his Pokemon are fast, or the always tricky Rival 5. I figure Rival 5 would be easier. I've used Sleep Powder against Pidgeot, and then I take it down with Psychic. Pretty easy. I miss against Execute, and it goes for Poison Powder. That's bad. I mean, I can pretty easily take it out, but up next is Gyarados, and I'm poisoned. After putting Gyarados to sleep, I use Mega Drain to try and stay healthy for the next 2 Pokemon, but it's clearly not good enough. I'm losing more HP than I'm gaining back from Mega Drain, and I'm doing next to nothing to Gyarados. With how low my HP is, I don't even bother with Sleep Powder with Alakazam. I know that I can't take any more poison damage. I just go straight for the throat with Psychic, but I lose anyway. It's just too tough. I try again. On this attempt, Pidgeot is just as easy as before, and then Execute comes out. And it happened again! It poisoned me again! Oh, and if that wasn't bad enough, this time it also lands a Leech Seed against me. I'm losing so much HP, and now he's healing. I think it's pretty clear that I've lost this fight. Gyarados comes out, and as much as I try to stay alive, I just can't. There's nothing I can do when I'm poisoned or Leech Seeded, much less both. Rival 5, take 3. Pidgeot is still not a trouble. I take it out easily. Even though it wakes up, I'm able to take it out before it can attack. But up next, Moment of Truth, Execute. I miss Sleep Powder. It goes for Poison Powder and also misses. That was such a close call. I hit Sleep Powder. It wakes up immediately. I hit Sleep Powder again. This time it stays asleep. And thankfully, by the time it wakes up, it's too late. I take it out without getting poisoned or leech seeded. Finally. Now, time to face Gyarados with full HP. Let's see how this goes. I miss and get hit by a Dragon Rage. Not great, not terrible. Could have been worse. I miss again. It goes for Leo and fails. In Gens 1 and 2, AI using a status move against you have a 25% chance to fail after the miss rate. Anyway, it's finally asleep, so I start hammering it down with Psychic. I finish it off with Mega Drain to regain a bit of health, and now it's time for Alakazam. I go for Sleep Powder and then chip it down with Mega Drain. It wakes up, so I go for Sleep Powder again and I miss. It lands Confusion for decent damage, and then I use Sleep Powder again and put it to sleep. Eventually, I run out of PP for Mega Drain, so I switch to using Psychic and finish it off pretty easily. I mean, technically I finished it off with Psybeam, but that doesn't really matter. Up next, Charizard. This, I don't think I need to explain why this is dangerous. I'll just say I need to hit Sleep Powder or I lose. But I do hit Sleep Powder and then just take it out with Psychic. That was a huge relief. I finally won this fight. After healing up, I prepare to face Giovanni. He leads with Nidorino, who goes down to Psychic easily. Kangaskhan is next. It goes down to 2 Psychics, and it only uses a Guard spec, so I'm fine. Rhyhorn goes down to 1 Mega Drain, because of course it does. His final Pokemon, Nidoqueen, is also a 2-hit KO with Psychic, but like Kangaskhan, it only uses a Guard spec. I just won without him even attacking. I shouldn't be surprised, it's Giovanni. After I'm done with Silphco, I grab the TM for Mimic, so I just have that in reserve later in case I need it. I'm not gonna teach it yet. Speaking of TMs that are good to have around, I grab the TM for Solar Beam in Cinnabar Mansion. I choose to replace Psybeam with Solar Beam. Its Sleep Powder mitigates the dangers of having a charge-up turn, so I think it'll be useful. Thanks to Solar Beam, Sabrina is not really that bad. Sleep Powder plus Solar Beam really makes Psychic types so much easier. However, I get a bit cocky against Venomoth and fail to one-shot it with Psychic and it poisons me. Then Alakazam decides to be an annoying staller. Just watch this. Even watching it sped up, it looks tedious. You can only imagine how frustrating that was. I mean, I still won, but boy was that annoying. Up next is Blaine. He's the Fire-type gym leader, but he also has bad AI, so I don't know how this is gonna go. Up first, I go for Sleep Powder against Growlithe, but I miss and it hits me with a critical hit Embo. The second Sleep Powder hits and I take it down with a few Psychics. Ponyta is really annoying. It stunlocks me with Fire Spin twice! So, I take a ton of damage. I'm at very low HP for Rapidash. I probably should have used Sleep Powder. I use Sleep Powder on Rapidash and we get to see Blaine's classic full health super potion move. And even better, when he gets a chance to attack me, he instead uses a super potion. What an idiot. Last up is Arcanine. I miss Sleep Powder and it takes me out with Fire Blast. Let's try that again. This time I land Sleep Powder on Growlithe and don't take any damage against it. First up 4 Pokemon and I'm already improving. Ponyta is next and it also never gets a chance to attack me. I'm just getting really lucky this attempt or really unlucky on the last attempt. Third up is Rapidash and it also never gets a chance to attack me. I'm getting really lucky with Sleep Powder. Now it's time for the moment of truth. Arcanine also never gets a chance to attack me. It's about a 30% chance for none of those sleep powders to miss, so I got lucky. But up next is a really easy fight, so I hope I don't need luck for this one. Giovanni. Rhyhorn goes down in 1 Mega Drain. Dugtrio goes down in 1 Mega Drain. Nidoqueen barely survives Psychic and goes through Poison Sting. Even if it's super effective in Gen 1, it does next to no damage. I finish it off with Mega Drain to regain a bit of health. Against Nidoking, I get a critical hit allowing Psychic to one-shot it. Finally is Rhydon, and it manages to survive a quad-effective Mega Drain. I said Butterfree sucks, and I meant it. Regardless, he just uses a guard spec, so I'm fine. With that over with, I teach Mimic in place of Mega Drain. This is going to be really useful for the next fight, hopefully. Time for the penultimate rival battle. This one's always a tricky one. Not to mention I'm using a Butterfree, so this is gonna be tough. Against Pidgeot, I use Sleep Powder and then Mimic Agility. You see, in Gen 1 there's something called a Badge Boost glitch, which reapplies the Badge Boosts that are intended every time your stats are modified. I can exploit this with Agility, and I have a perfect chance to set it up since Pidgeot is asleep. 3 Agilities later, and it's time to start attacking. Pidgeot's a 2-hit KO with Psychic. Rhyhorn is a 1-hit KO with Psychic. Execute is next, and I know how dangerous this thing can be, so I put it to sleep right away. I then just use Psychic until it goes down. At least that was the plan. It eventually wakes up and attacks me with Poison Powder. That's a problem. Gyarados tanks a Psychic and then attacks with Hydro Pump for good damage. Once Gyarados is down, I'm at low HP and poisoned. This fight might be a lost cause. Alakazam stalls me out for quite a while. Even though it never actually attacks me, I take so much damage from the poison. I also run out of PP for Psychic, and therefore I have to use Solar Beam against Charizard. And I'm at such low HP, yeah, I've lost this. Charizard doesn't even have to do anything, I go down to the poison. On to the next attempt. I go for the same Sleep Powder Mimic 3 Agility strategy against Pidgeot. I don't really see a problem with this strategy, and indeed it works just as well as it did on my first try. Rhyhorn is once again a 1-hit KO. A level up resets the Badge Boost glitch, that's a problem. Luckily for me, this time Execute never wakes up, meaning I'm still at full HP and at a healthy status for the remaining 3 Pokemon. The first of those 3 is Gyarados, who takes out nearly 2/3 of my HP before I finally take it out. Not good. Alakazam is up next, and I use Sleep Powder to put it to sleep. I then try to chip it down with Solar Beam, but it decides to be annoying and repeatedly wakes up. Luckily for me, I never miss a Sleep Powder and it never gets a chance to attack me. Finally, Charizard dodges Sleep Powder and takes me out with Flamethrower. After another failed attempt, it becomes clear this isn't working, so I go to Cinnabar Mansion to grind a few levels. For tip number 4, I'm level 56. Hopefully this is good enough. Same strategy as before, Sleep Powder, Mimic, 3 agilities on Pidgeot. Pidgeot does hit me with Wing Attack, but it hardly does any damage. Wing Attack in Gen 1 has 35 power instead of 60. Anyway, I finally take Pidgeot out, and up next is Rhyhorn. I just one-shot Rhyhorn with Psychic. I don't even bother with the Type Chart or Sleep Powder or any of that. It has pathetic special, I just take it out in one hit. Up next is Execute, and this one has me worried. However, thanks to Sleep Powder, it never gets a chance to do anything. That's a relief. Still, that was just the warm-up. The next 3 Pokemon are much more dangerous. Gyarados is a 3-hit KO. Luckily, Sleep lasts long enough that it also never gets a chance to attack. Alakazam has like a zillion specials, so that worries me. I put it to sleep right away, and then I start charging up a Solar Beam, and a critical hit did barely half. That's a problem. Luckily, a non-critical hit does the rest, so... okay, that was fine. I then miss Sleep Powder against Charizard. It goes for Flamethrower, and I survive it. Okay, I did not expect to survive that attack, and a second Sleep Powder lands, and I hit it with Psychic until it goes down. That went way smoother than I expected. Just goes to show how much of a difference a few levels can make. Here are my stats at level 60. Will this be enough for the Elite Four? Probably not, but time to find out. The first member of the Elite Four is also the scariest. Lorelei uses Ice types, and I'm a Flying type, and I'm a Butterfree. Dugong is incredibly frustrating because of its resistance to falling asleep. However, I am able to take it out relatively easily. Then I miss Sleep Powder against Cloyster, and I get hit by another Aurora Beam. This is getting bad. After a bit of back and forth struggling, I finally take out Cloyster, and I have a bit of a breather with Slowbro. Its only attacking move is Water Gun. I take the chance to mimic Amnesia, which I then set up once. I think that should be enough. Now that I'm past Slowbro, I'm at the really hard part with very little HP. Jinx is up next. I put it to sleep and charge up a Solar Beam. It wakes up, but thankfully Solar Beam takes it out before it can attack. That was a close call. I use Sleep Powder against Lapras. It wakes up. I use Sleep Powder again. This time it doesn't wake up. And then I one-shot it with Solar Beam. Wow, that was way easier than I expected. After the fight, I level up, which is nice. I'd also like to note that Bruno's text when my character is named Idiot is hilarious. However, Bruno himself is completely boring because he poses no threat to me whatsoever. Just let me break it down for you. Onyx is a one-hit KO with a critical hit Psychic. Hitmonchan is not. I don't even get a crit and I still one-shot Hitmonchan. Hitmonlee also goes down one hit. The higher level Onyx also goes down without a crit, meaning the first Onyx didn't need a crit either. Finally, his strongest Pokemon, Machamp. Machamp actually isn't a one-hit KO, but it goes for Focus Energy instead of attacking. I mean, its only attacking move is Submission, so it's not like that was going to do too much to me. But still, I win. I took no damage this entire fight. Also, normally I think nothing of who knows why, how could I lose line, but honestly I'd reacted pretty much the same way to seeing my team get swept by just a Butterfree. But up next is what JRose11 calls the Agatha Lottery, and he calls it that for a good reason. This fight is always completely luck-based. Speaking of luck, Gengar goes for Nightshade instead of Hypnosis or Confuse Ray, allowing me to easily take it out with 2 Psychics. Golbat survives as Psychic, but then switches for Haunter instead of attacking. Haunter then goes for Dream Eater while I'm awake, and did I mention I just got 2 special drops in a row from Psychic? Golbat's back out, but it stands no chance of surviving a second Psychic. Arbok goes down to 1 Psychic. This has been incredibly lucky, but I'm down to 1 PP on Psychic, and I know I can't one-shot Gengar, so that could be a problem. But hey, special drop because my luck is just amazing this fight. Not that I'm complaining, of course. I hate fighting Agatha, and it feels like I'm giving her a taste of her own medicine, kind of. And I just lost. I probably should have used Sleep Powder. Now I decide to start over with Lorelei to gain a few more levels. Now you've already seen me beat Lorelei and Bruno, so just listen to this amazing music. Song beautiful. Alright, Agatha Bow, take 2. Let's do this. Psychic takes out about half of Gengar's health and then it goes through Confusion. I then hit myself in Confusion. It decides to make extra sure I'm confused by using Confuse Ray again. Then I take it out with Psychic. Golbat's up next, but I snap out of Confusion and use 2 Psychics to easily take it out. She just uses a Super Potion, so nothing bad happens. Hondo's up next, and the same thing happens. Psychic, Super Potion, Psychic, KO. Obuk is a 1-hit KO with Psychic, but up next is Gengar. However, Gengar is an idiot and goes for Dream Eater while I'm awake, allowing me to get an easy 2-hit KO and win the fight. Also, I got a pointless crit. I mean, maybe it was a damage range, but still probably a pointless crit. Alright, up next, the final member of the Elite Four, Lance. I put Gyarados to sleep and then go for Mimic. Why? So I can use Hyper Beam. Not against Gyarados, however, I'm just gonna go for Solar Beam against Gyarados since it's one of the few members of this team that isn't resistant to grass. However, you may have noticed a problem. PP. I'm low on Solar Beam, out of Psychic, and Hyper Beam can only get me so far even with the Mimic boost. So this is gonna be a problem. If I run out of PP before I can take out all of his Pokemon, then I've lost. Not that it matters, Gyarados just takes me out with Hyper Beam. I need to do something better, and by that I mean get way more levels so I start over with the Elite Four from the beginning. I'll just cut back to Lamp. Welcome back! This time I have many more power points than I did last time. Plus I'm at a higher level. I go for Sleep Powder against Gyarados to start off, just like the last attempt. But this time, I don't use Mimic, instead just going for Psychic, and just hitting him with Psychic repeatedly. It's nice to not be out of PP for my main attack, isn't it? Also, did you see that bit of Gyarados being the most annoying thing ever? I mean, I have trouble sleeping too, but this is ridiculous. Anyway, after Gyarados is done being an annoying staller, it's time to face off against his 2 Dragonators. Also, yes, you saw that right, a 3 in 4 chance to hit, and I hit 0 if the 4 times. Now that it's finally asleep, I go for Mimic to mimic Agility. This will be helpful both for allowing me to outspeed his Pokemon and for the bad boost glitch. Afterwards, I set up 3 agilities. Thankfully, Dragonair never wakes up. It narrowly survives Psychic, and he uses a Hyper Potion. I decide to finish it off with Solar Beam so that I don't waste BP on Psychic. Besides, I can reliably get it into what would be red health if this was a color Pokemon game. I mean, it is a color Pokemon game. It's named Red and Blue, but you know what I mean. Oh, and the second Dragonair is already gone. I put Aerodactyl to sleep and then charge up a Solar Beam. It survives Solar Beam with the tiniest sliver of health, but Lance doesn't use a Hyper Potion. Okay, not complaining there. Unfortunately, I'm at incredibly low HP for Dragonite, but thankfully that's no issue. Dragonite never wakes up, so I can just 3-hit KO it with Psychic. Time for the final boss fight, and I'm pretty nervous. I'm only using a Butterfree, why wouldn't I be nervous? go for Sleep Powder, it immediately wakes up. I go for Sleep Powder again, and it misses. It charges up a Sky Attack. Thankfully, my next Sleep Powder lands. If it weren't for that, I'd have lost right there. I then go to Mimic Agility, and it doesn't know Agility anymore. That's bad. Since I can't cancel out of that menu, I just end up mimicking Sky Attack, because why not? All of its other moves are terrible. Oh, and critical hit Sky Attack. That's lovely. Well, at least this time I don't mimic Sky Attack by mistake. One soft reset later, and it's time to try again. Put Pidgeot to sleep and go for Psychic. It looks like it's a 3-hit KO, which is not ideal, but should be good enough given how broken Sleep is in Gen 1. Indeed it is, plus pointless critical hit to add insult to injury. Alakazam's next, and this one worries me. Shockingly, I outspeed it, and then I go for Sleep Powder, putting it to sleep right away. I then mimic Recover, which should be very helpful later. I wonder if it would allow me to mimic Psychic given that I know it normally. My best guess is that it would let me do that since Gen 1. Also, a critical hit Solar Beam didn't take Alakazam out. I don't know if that's just because Alakazam has amazing special or because I'm using a Butterfree, but either way I'm impressed. And another pointless crit. My luck is amazing. Rhydon has nothing that scares me, so it just charge up a Solar Beam without going for Sleep Powder. I'm fine, it used Leer and missed. Exeggutor is next. It resists all of my moves and also knows a sleeping move, so this should take a while. About a zillion misses later, it's finally asleep, so I can start attacking. Wow, Solar Beam is my more powerful move, and it did nothing. All I can really do here is stall with Recover and Sleep Powder. Restore? Yeah, screw you two. I mean, at least I got a special drop. Okay, I'm finally past Exeggutor. Next up, Gyarados. Now, after I put it to sleep and then use one Solar Beam, it wakes up. I can't use my last Sleep Powder on it because then I won't have anything to do against Charizard, and Charizard can do a lot more damage to me than Gyarados can. Thankfully for me, Gyarados decided that attacking is boring and Leer is all the rage, so I take no damage against it. Moment of truth, Charizard. I land Sleep Powder, just please stay asleep. Okay, crit and special drop, and then it wakes up, oh no. And, yes! I took it out in a second hit. Thank you, special drop. I just won the entire game with a Butterfree. I feel so proud of myself. It should serve as no surprise that Butterfree is well below the 3 starters in my tier list. Charizard was the worst starter, and it was still 7 levels and 2.5 hours ahead of Butterfree. Not to mention it lost more times than the starter trio put together. Being honest, I don't know if any other Pokemon will do this badly, but here's a list of Pokemon that I think might be worse than Butterfree.